Okay, Outsider Survivor here. I'm going to show you my hammock setup today. First things first, I want to show you a knot that I use. It's a trucker's hitch, and it's just essential for setting this up the way I do it. I'll show you that right now. Okay. Let's see here. So, basically, it's pretty simple. I'm just going to take a loop in the middle of the line, anywhere in the line. I'm just going to make a square knot, crossing it over, tuck it under, so it just goes through one time. Pull it tight, and you have a loop in your line. With this, you can come back through and you can make a pulley effect after that. And if I have my loop, run a line through it, now I can ratchet down and make a very tight bind. And when I tie that off, for example, say I've got my loop. I'm going to come back up through it with the line. Now I've got this adjustable, like a little pulley here. I'm just going to same kind of knot as before, just come around and through, but I'm not going to go through all the way, so it leaves the remainder of the loop. Now if I pull this, it'll just come free, but now it's tight and I want to release it. I'll just pull that and off it comes. So the trucker's hitch is what I use to set this up. Real simple. You can tie it in the middle of any line or on the end of any rope, so you have a loop. That's what you need. I tie the line around my trees very tight. A lot of times on YouTube I see that people don't do this, and your hammock will start slipping down in the night while it sways in the wind, or just you getting in and out of the hammock. It will move and shift and start to slide down, and by morning you'll find your butt in the mud. So tie it tight around the tree so that it doesn't slip down the tree as you go. Then you can hook the hammock onto that, and it's simplistic after that, but just tying it tight to the tree. Use that trucker's hitch, go all the way around the tree through the loop, and then you can pull on it like a ratchet or a binder. Use that to help secure yourself to the tree so you don't slip down and end up with your butt in the mud. Now, over top of my hammock here, I have a tarp strung up. Now, normally I use my poncho, but my tarp and my poncho look almost identical, and I grabbed the wrong one for this demonstration. So, normally I use my poncho. I have a an extra long poncho that's longer in the back so that it covers your backpack when you're hiking, and it's made of the same material, the same color even, and it's long enough to go the length of my hammock, so I can cover myself with that at night. But this one works just fine. With the longer tarp, I actually want to tie it down because there's so much material that it would be flapping around in the wind. With the poncho, you don't really need to. It just drapes over you, and it's usually enough. If you had to tie a rock onto it just so that it has some tension pulling down, it'd probably be enough. In the cold weather, and even in the rain, it doesn't. I rarely tie them down. I just drape it over myself, and it suffices. So I'll just demonstrate. Uh, I tie it pretty tight up. I have an extra line on top. This is so I can drape it all the way over. But just hop in and get cozy. Now, when you're laying in a hammock, if you lay straight along the line of the hammock, your back will bow like a banana. If you lay in the hammock, you turn yourself about 15 degrees off kilter, your feet are almost hanging off but not quite, and you'll find that you're totally flat underneath just by the physics of the way the hammock supports you. And a lot of people get in hammocks and they lay right along with it, and they find it very uncomfortable because their back is bent the whole time, or they can't sleep on their belly. So try that, being just off kilter when you lay in a hammock, about 15 degrees off, and then you'll find that it's much more comfortable. It's the way you're supposed to lay in hammocks. The bigger the hammock, the better. The wider, the better. They'll be more comfortable. This one is an ultra light one that packs down super small, so when I'm backpacking and traveling light, I take this with me to save space, and it keeps me off the ground. Now, when you're sleeping in a hammock, it compresses against your back. Wherever part is against the hammock itself, the sleeping bag compresses and all the fluff goes out of it, and it gets very, very cold. So what you'll want to do is put a sleeping pad down, especially in the cooler time of the year. Put a sleeping pad just like you would normally on the ground. You can put that in your hammock as well. But this way you stay dry, you're off the ground, you can camp on a hillside, it doesn't matter. You can camp in thick underbrush, it doesn't matter. You don't have to lay in the snow or the mud and deal with the cold earth just sucking the heat out of you. This is what I like to take. You can always sleep on the ground if you have to, but if you can get up in the trees, it's a really nice option to have, and it's about the size of a water bottle when it all packs down. It fits in a little pocket that hangs just off center, which is nice for, say, storing a water bottle or something like that in the middle of the night, so you can get to that and have a drink. It's easy to set up and pack down. It's especially quick to pack away. In the morning when I'm done, I can just pull the quick release knots that I have tied on it, and I can quickly take down my hammock, pack it away, and it takes up very little space in my pack. It takes a little bit more time to set up than it does to tear down, especially if you use the slip knots, but you get better at it, and if you don't have to run a line over the top of you to shed rain, then it's especially easy. The wool blanket is a bit of a problem in the hammock. The wool blanket will want to slide off your body and end up down in the bottom of the hammock, and so it's kind of hard to use. You'd have to really wrap yourself up in it and then get in your sleeping bag. It has to be tightly wrapped around you, otherwise it will slip free and come loose in the night and end up in a pile in the bottom. So the wool blanket is a bit of a struggle in the hammock. That one doesn't work as well as I'd like. So all your wool blanket enthusiasts, if you take your wool blanket and put it inside of your sleeping bag like I do to keep it a little extra warm, it doesn't work as well on the hammock, I find. So this is where the sleeves that go inside of a sleeping bag are nice, so you can add that extra layer inside of a lightweight sleeping bag to make it a lot warmer. At any rate, it's the way I like to travel when I'm going light in the woods. You don't have to thrash the underbrush, and you don't have to lay down a big tent. You're not going to be sleeping on a rock or on a root, and you're not going to have bugs marching through your campsite or mud leaking in the middle of the night. So check out these hammocks. It only weighs a few ounces, and it packs down to, like I said, the size of a water bottle. If you have just your poncho over top instead of the tarp, that's that serves two purposes. So you can wear that poncho when you're hiking, and then when you get to where you want to be and you want to set up, you can just throw your poncho up above your shelter, so you don't have to carry a lot of extra material. That cuts out having to have a tent. So all I have is the poncho, which I use anyway, and the hammock, so I don't have to carry a tent anymore, which is kind of nice. Like I said, on this one time I did forget to bring the poncho, and so I have the tarp instead. But same. Uh, if you can see off to the side here, you can see my pack just fits underneath the shelter of the hammock, so that you can leave your pack down there and it tends to stay dry. The space directly underneath you remains dry. If there's mud on the ground or you're afraid about pooling, you can put a couple of sticks down to get it up off the ground and just tuck it right underneath you, or hang it up on the tree um, underneath your feet or underneath your head. And this way you can actually have access to your pack. You can just lean over underneath you, reach around, and grab something out of it if you want to, if it's leaning up against the tree. So hammocks are a really nice setup. They make them out of like parachute material now. You can use paracord to tie it up. That makes it light and compact, but the paracord does stretch. Um, what I like to use, my favorite thing is it's just a strap, like the straps you might get for ratchet straps. I don't need the bulky metal ratchet part. I just use the trucker's hitch or a knot. But the straps untie easier. They come apart. The knots come loose easier than a perfectly round rope. Or you could also use thick climbing rope. The knots will come off relatively easy on that too. But straps work good. I actually have some fish line they use for pulling cable in industrial situations when they're pulling heavy electrical cable. They use a synthetic strap. You'll find it laying around at construction sites, and it works fantastic for backpacking, for using for my hammock. It's my favorite, actually, is just this free construction stuff I find at abandoned construction sites that the power company uses for pulling cable. You can find that everywhere. That's the white strap around the side over here. Yeah, that's Outsider Survivor talking about hammocks. Just want to show you guys the shelter that I normally use when I'm traveling light and on the move. And this is it. All right, Outsider Survivor, stay safe in the woods.